Okay. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar entitled Process Automation for JD Edwards, RPA and Orchestrator, which one or both? My name is Mary Lou Darrow. I'm from White Light Group, and this is the third and final installment in our new to RPA Lunch and Learn series. So glad you could all be here today. I just have a couple housekeeping items. For any questions you have, you can go to the top right of your screen and you'll see the chat box, and you could just click the little icon with the question mark and ask any questions. You can put it in chat and we will get to all of the questions at the end, or you can also email me at marylou.darrow@whitelightgrp.com. When you guys logged in, we have you all muted, and we'll keep you that way throughout the presentation just for consistency. And we are recording today's presentation, and we'll make sure that we make it available to all of you after the event. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our presenter, Phil Toso. Phil is a business analyst here with White Light Group. He not only heads up our development team for RPA, but he also works with many of our JD Edwards clients across multiple industries. So when working with our clients, he drives the process of identifying and documenting their current business processes, and he prioritizes those with the most potential for automation, and then he helps them establish a center of excellence where it's appropriate. So needless to say, you should get ready to hopefully learn a ton of topics on process automation, because Phil is a process automation guru. So with that, I'm going to take it away to Phil. Thanks, Phil.
Thanks for that generous introduction. Appreciate it. Thanks everybody for joining us today on your lunch hour. We'll try to get through. We have a lot of information to get through. We'll get through as fast as we can here. So we're going to talk a little bit about our agenda here. We're going to go over a little bit about White Light Group, RPA orchestration, the basics. We've gone through some of the basics before in some of our other webinars, so I may kind of fast path through that. And then we're also going to talk about using RPA to automate tasks in JD Edwards, using Orchestrator and RPA, and what a hybrid approach might look like. We'll do a build-a-bot demo. It's a video demonstration. We're going to play the whole thing. It is about 4 or 5 minutes long, but it is certainly worth your time. It has a lot of information in it. It's a demonstration that we built here at White Light Group. And then we want to talk about next steps, or how you want to get started in identifying opportunities. So a little bit about White Light Group. White Light Group is a consulting firm that uses software solutions and to optimize business processes. And we've been doing this for just about under 20 years now. We have offices in Wisconsin and Illinois, and primarily our customers are manufacturers, and they're usually headquartered in the Midwest area. However, we do work with global companies as well. As an Oracle partner, we have worked with many clients to provide support assistance with JD Edwards ERP platform. As time went on, we found that RPA was a natural progression for White Light Group, as everyone we work with seemed to be process focused in all of our activities. Our 3 primary areas of focus are JD Edwards, consulting, ERP software integrations, and last but not least, what we're talking about today is RPA. As far as RPA is concerned, we have partnered with 3 RPA solutions: Automation Anywhere, UiPath, and Kofax. If you'd like to talk a little bit more about detail of any of these slides, contact us after our presentation. We'll have a lot of contact information throughout the process. So RPA and JD Edwards, the basics. So what is RPA? Robotic, let's just break down the word robotic process automation. Robotic is an entity that mimics human interaction. So a lot of these tasks, if you're going through idea generations and things of that nature, think of people that are completing tasks that are repetitive. We'll get into some of that in a little bit, but that's the robotic process. So it's mimicking human actions, and it's mimicking the process of these human actions, and we're just automating that to make it as simple as possible. Automated process must include rule-based, standardized input, and be repetitive. So why is it rule-based? Because there may be so many different rules within your organization, and it doesn't mean that it have to be some sort of computer rule. If the rule is we don't go through this approval unless it's below or above this or this threshold, that is a business rule that an RPA solution can abide by. And for example, what isn't a rule is maybe some of you might be asking yourself. And what isn't a rule is a human decision. So is it based on a relationship that we have with this account, whether we're going to approve this sales order or not? That would be more of a person. We couldn't create a business rule inside that an automation would make sense to them. And then standardized input. You can work with unstructured data. I think of unstructured and structured data as standardized and non-standardized. So there are hundreds, if not thousands, of opportunities out there that work with standardized inputs and outputs. Therefore, kind of a leaping off point into RPA, unstructured data really wouldn't be a very, I guess, top priority unless it was a unique scenario. And it might, and we talk about having it being repetitive. We talk about repetitiveness, also accuracy. So the reason we think of it needing to be repetitive is because that really drives that ROI process, right? Because if it's not repetitive and we're doing it only once every year, well, maybe the investment in the ROI really doesn't work together very well, right? So that's why we added that to the slide. Types of robots, there's attended robots and unattended robots. Attended robots are primarily like, think of it like a go button on the computer for your user, your business user. They're going through their tasks, and then one is automated. They hit go, it runs it, it's done. They can complete their tasks or validation processes at that time. An unattended robot would be like something that happens in the back office. So something that does some sort of validations or updates or creates reports. That's something in the evening hours or something that is off business hours that is unattended and that just runs perhaps on a schedule. There's a lot of elements you can go through when determining your list of robots to complete. Now you go through an opportunity assessment, deciding what's important to your business. You go through a feasibility assessment based on those bots that are in your list. Are they attainable, yes or no? But then the complexity one really kind of is right before ROI, and it really determines the complexity of these bots and if they, how much effort is it going to take to build these bots? How much effort is it going to take to manage these in the future? And so a lot of things to take in consideration are a number of screens, types of applications or number of applications you're using, any business logic scenarios, so decision-making processes, right? Does it meet that validation in that approval process, yes or no? If yes, keep on going through the bot. If no, send an email out to this user. This is their exception that they need to manage. And then types and numbers of inputs. So they have a kind of a rule of 5 applications, 500 steps, and or 500 screens, if you will, and then 5 business logic scenarios. So just kind of think of that when you're thinking of what kind of goes into a bot, what is pretty typical. And RPA benefits. RPA benefits is obviously, we talked about mimicking human interaction. We talked about it's quick to implement. Quick to implement is 4 to 6 weeks once you say go. From implementation to go live and training. So we can get into more details on at a later date on the implementation, but compared to like a JD Edwards implementation, we consider that quick. It doesn't rest, doesn't make mistakes. It doesn't take vacation, doesn't quit, get fired, get hired, need to get trained back in. It works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we talked a little bit about structured data already. The biggest one is on the bottom there, highlighted in green. It operates on any application. That's one of the biggest differences between the RPA solutions and Oracle Orchestrator that works with JD Edwards only. So it only works with JD Edwards. If it needs to bring another application in, it can only work with JD Edwards. So an RPA solution doesn't care. It can work with your CRM platform. It can capture data from a website that's external and then consolidate together and update your databases. It doesn't care what environment you're working with. If you can do it on your computer and you can log in, you can do it with RPA. So that is one huge advantage that it takes advantage of. So where does it really fit within your technology portfolio? So you're going to have different AI products, maybe process mining, business process management solutions out there. RPA is a puzzle piece of all of those. There's you may find that RPA isn't the solution for everything. It's an element of the solution, and it does it very, very efficiently. JD Edwards Orchestrator. So what are some of the things that kind of compare to RPA solutions? It can receive requests from third-party systems to execute JD Edwards transactions, and it is an RPA type tool. So those are some similarities. What it cannot do, it cannot emulate a third-party user transaction. For example, JD Edwards Orchestrator cannot perform a customer ad in Salesforce, okay, and other RPA solutions can. So you might say, well, what's the right solution for me? So we have this beautifully mapped out kind of decision-making framework here for you. So JD Edwards is the only system to execute transactions. Yes or no? No, then RPA. If yes, then are you on the proper version of JD Edwards to run Orchestrator? Yes or no? If no, then RPA is your solution. If yes, now you go to the next one here and you say, do you have the infrastructure installed to run Orchestrator? Yes or no? If no, then RPA. If yes, then Orchestrator. So their RPA does find its way into businesses very easily compared to JD than Oracle Orchestrator, based on your preference and capabilities and existing solution set. So using RPA without Orchestrator to automate tasks in JD Edwards. So kind of a use case here that we have is the currency conversion rate bot that we built. The video is next. It'll show you the build of this bot. So the challenge here was the folks were updating their currency conversion rates monthly, and they're a global company. That's a problem. These changes happen daily, and you have sales orders and purchase orders going out, and we're not completing any conversion rates on any of those. We're using whatever we started with at the beginning of that month. We created a solution, an RPA solution, an automation anywhere, to actually we created it in all three platforms. However, the demonstration is an automation anywhere. And what this does, well, some of the results is it does it well, first of all, it does it nightly, and it takes less time for the user to do it. It's 100% accurate and improves the sales order process. So we created an unattended bot to automate this process, and I'll go over a little bit more in detail what that process is. So basically it starts by opening an Excel file. It creates a log, saves it in a folder. It opens up the source website that has the conversion rates available, and logs into JD Edwards, goes into the currency rate exchange rate application at P0015A, I believe, and it updates all the records in that application. So how does it do that? It goes in, it goes into that record, it identifies if it is calculation method 1 and conversion method Z. Those can be changed. This is the bot that we created based on those requirements. And then it also checks to see if that bot or that record has been updated that day. If it has been updated that day, then it doesn't go ahead and update it, and it starts back at the beginning of that loop. I'll kind of use my mouse here. Starts back at number 5. Then it goes through, and if it hasn't been updated that day, then it goes ahead and it goes back out to that website, grabs those conversion, USD to Canadian dollars, or whatever the case may be, and it will, it will grab that information. It will not only paste it in that Excel document, but also create a new record and do that for you. And it will loop through all of your records inside that application. When it says, hey, there are no more records left to update, it go ahead and it saves that file in that Excel file and sends it off to the user just for validation. So here's kind of it in the build of the bot. So I'll let you watch this video.
The intent of this video is to demonstrate the inner workings of the currency bot we're utilizing Automation Anywhere in JD Edwards. We will cover an overview of the project along with video demonstrations of key elements, a full bot run, and scheduling the bot in the control room. The key benefits of the bot the utilization is that it can be ran daily on a schedule, eliminating the manual process of updating the currency conversion rates. It will be 100% accurate every time, and it improves efficiencies in all international financial phases. Let's get started.
The bot workbench is an area where you can create and work on different bots. On the left-hand side are all of the commands that you can use to build the bot. The center is the area where you can visualize the steps of your bot. The top area, the new button allows you to create a new bot. The record function allows you to use the recorder. The run lets you run your bot. You can save your bot. And then you can use debugging tools or set snap points that'll take pictures of certain steps of your bot. An important part of this bot is its use of the recorder function. The record function can be found in the top left corner and can be used to simulate a series of actions that'll happen on whatever you do on a web page or anything that happens on your computer. So to show an example of this, we will try this. We will refresh to get our current page. Select the JD Edwards page, we'll click start. Let's say we wanted to put our username and our password and then click sign it. Once we're done, we'll hit stop. And we can see that our actions were recorded on the page. Another important part of this bot is its ability to manipulate and act on web pages. To do this, we use the object cloning and the manage web controller applications. The object cloning command allows you to change the path of the DOMX to find general objects or to move around web pages if you have similar objects. So what you'll do is you will select a window that you want and you will hold capture and select an HTML object on that page, and then you can find an action that will best suit your needs. The Manage Web Controller app is similar, except that you aren't allowed to change the path to the HTML object, and this takes a little bit longer because it actually manages and works on the web page. Loops are an important part of this bot because they allow us to repeat steps for a given number of times or based on different conditions. There are 5 different loops within this bot. The first loop, this will be keeping track of the current iteration on the main currency exchange table. The next one, this tab, will be tabbing and moving throughout the table to select different records. The third one will be to iterate through the subtable so that we can verify that there are previous records with 1 and Z. Our fourth loop is to enter in the currency code, and this will be on the Create a Record page. And the final loop is to up arrow back to the beginning of the list so we can set a route.
We will now perform a full bot run. In this demonstration, the bot is logging into JD Edwards, fast pathing to the currency rates, and looping through all existing currency conversion rates. It will validate that the calculation method is set to 1 and conversion method is set to Z. It will also validate that the rate has not been updated that day. After looping through all the records, it creates a spreadsheet identifying all the changes made and emails that attachment to the specified resource for review. Now let's move on to promoting that bot to the control room and running it on a schedule.
Automation Anywhere lets us schedule bots to run at predetermined times. To schedule these bots, we must be in the control room. Then we will select the Bots tab on the left-hand side, and then the My Bots tab. We will then select Run Bot, and then Schedule Bot. We will then select the task bot that we would like to schedule. Then we will designate our bot client to run on, and then we will schedule the bot to run. Once you've designated a time, click Schedule Bot, and the bot is now scheduled to run.
At White Light Group, we operate free 2-hour evaluation work.
So we'll cover that here at the end, but that is a terrific video that really explains all the different areas of that bot building process. Getting into some RPA, JD Edwards for any industry, real case studies. So these are just some additional case studies I wanted to share with you. So cost rolling. So in this scenario, they wanted to be able to add material, labor, overhead costs, and determine manufacturing costs, and add all those up. That was done manually. And the use case is to create an unattended bot to mimic all those business rules and complete that task weekly. The result of that is to decrease time to completing these tasks, increase profitability and efficiency, obviously 100% accurate, and employee satisfaction. When I get into employee satisfaction, you might say, well, how does that even impact it? Well, if there's any people on in HR on the call, you know what it costs to recruit somebody, train somebody, go through that entire process. So if that person finds another position that's similar to the one that they have with your organization at a manufacturing company, they might say, well, you don't have this process automated. That means I have to do all these repetitive tasks. They might say, I don't want that job. I am happy where I'm at because my company takes care of me. So now we'll take a look at a couple of hybrid approaches using Orchestrator as well as JD Edwards. So on this one, in accounts receivable collections, the situation was they were chasing down past due accounts, and instead of having somebody complete that task on a daily basis, they created a daily attended bot that sends out texts, emails, and phone calls along with voicemails for folks that are past due, whether you make that rule of 60 days past due or 90 days past due or the day they are past due. You can set those rules up, and the result was that it really decreased that workload and increased efficiency, and also in their collections of their receivables. The next one is account reconciliation. So what was happening there was they were processing monthly work orders, and if they're not done on time, they missed a lot of deadlines, and there was approximately about 150 to 200 work orders a month to complete, and it basically equivalated to about 50 hours a month of work being done there. So in UiPath and Orchestrator, they sent a SQL path to update all work orders in JD Edwards and update JD Edwards tables and applications. They did this once a month, and basically the result was they transcended or converted 50 hours of work into 5 seconds. And they, obviously the employee satisfaction went up, there were 0 errors, and it was the output in the reports were really easy to read. They could customize on how that looked. Now you might say, well, how do I get started once I know, I know this information, I've attended this webinar. We do offer a free 2-hour evaluation workshop. The evaluation workshop identifies with your organization instead of hypotheticals, initial steps to opportunity assessments, identifying the right solution and product for you. Maybe you're in that process where, hey, I need to decide what automation solution is best for me. And then we want to talk about, RPA as a service, different project options, licensing options, things of that nature, as well as outline improvements for RPA that your business could have. So we talked a little bit about the timeline. The timeline is, we said that it was that 4 to 6 week timeline. And it's all those elements that go into the project up front that are really important that allow that 4 to 6 week timeline to exist. So identifying what's important to your business, what are the opportunities for automation within your organization, your feasibility assessment, determining if those bots are actually, can they run? Is this possible? And then determining the complexity and the effort involved in creating this bot, and determining what's important to your business, how is it going to impact it from a return on investment standpoint. Once we have all that in place and you say bot 1 go, that's when we set up the license acquisition, we do all our requirements gathering, we do our process design documentation, we do our bot build, and we train and go live. So that's what that kind of looks like from an implementation standpoint. So with that said, I know I'm coming up on 30 minutes right now. I know I went through that quickly. Do we have any questions out there? Mary Lou, that I can answer for anyone.
Yep, I actually got a couple in my email. So do you guys hear? I'm not sure if you're hearing feedback or not. I'm hearing it, but I apologize for that. So let's see. Do you need to be on a specific tools release to add RPA to some of your back office automations?
Right now we're doing all of our bot configurations in 9.1. I mean, it can be in any one of these. You can be on any level of JD Edwards. Really doesn't matter that much. The bots that we're pre-building right now are on 9.1 or later.
Okay. Okay, let's see. The next one is, how long does it take to build a bot for typical AP tasks?
Kind of depends on, do you just want to do, matching of the purchase orders and the dollar amounts, or is there more to it? Do we want to go through different approval processes, things of that nature? We're still looking at that 4 to 6 week timeline, depending on the complexity, but I would stick to that at this time. But a lot of that would be addressed up front in that opportunity assessment.
Okay, so here's another one. What kind of security is built into a bot?
So security, well, first of all, it's complete secure cloud, just like if you were to purchase anything Enterprise Edition. A lot of security folks have questions about is my login, username, password, links, all those kind of things. They all have some sort of, they classify it differently, either a locker room or a credentials file. And so you only use those credentials for any of those bot processes, and those are obviously secure as well. Some of the other things people talk about security, like, are they using other usernames to complete these bot tasks? And the answer is no. You treat this bot very, just like another employee. In JD Edwards, you would have a whole bot user 1, and that person would complete all those tasks rather than a separate user. I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, no, it sounds good. And then if I wanted to just start out and try one bot, can it run multiple tasks?
Good question. There's some confusion of how much a bot costs and how much it costs to run. So you get one license and you can run as many bots as you want, as long as they're not operating concurrently. So you have one bot license. Well, you can run 18 bots. If all 18 of those bots take 24 hours, that would be your result. So think of it, I guess, that way from a time frame. I have 24 hours per license to run bots, and I from a task perspective, I would create those bots. Like if there was a AP automation and there was another one for currency conversion rates, I would have those as separate bots and run in a queue. So when one's done, the other one starts. Because if you have something that's wrong with it, it's not going to, you're not going to be, your whole entire business automation process isn't going to be down. You're only going to have one silo of that down. So. Okay,
and then there was just one last one. I don't see anything else in the chat box, but I did get one more, and it says, is it easier to build a bot in one solution platform over another, i.e. Kofax Automation Anywhere?
I think that question may be derived as to you're planning on building the bot. If that's the case, I would encourage you to go out to Automation Anywhere, UiPath. They have community versions that you can play around with and see what makes sense or resonates with you. I relate it back to like building a car, or driving a car. So you get in your car, you know where your radio's at, you know where your windshield wipers are at, and if you push a button or turn a key to start your car. But if you get into a rental car, it's all going to have the same thing. It just might be a little bit different. The navigating the menu and the navigation or the radio might be a little bit different, but they all have the same functionality. Is one easier than other than from our end to put together from a time frame? No. I don't think so. Perhaps from a different user, you might want to explore some of those community version options.
Okay. And I didn't see anything else come in, but unless there's any other questions, that's looks like all we had.
Very good. Thanks everybody for joining. And see, we went over a couple minutes, and I'm glad we were able to squeeze this into your lunch hour. Thank you. You can connect with us at sales@whitelightgroup.com or info@whitelightgroup.com if you want more information.